Hey, what up, guys? Ira Coleman here, the founder of Fluent Hustle. We are a community that empowers, promotes, and inspire other entrepreneurs through the stories of entrepreneurs. Today, I'm here live with Jeff Althaus, the founder of Althaus Law here in Colorado. How's it going, brother?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Doing great. This is my second show for today, busy. You've been busy pretty well today as well.
I have. Just got out of a meeting on my way here, so.
And he mentioned that he was at the bank. We're not going to mention a bank, but it was a little scenario that he was waiting in a teller line outside, and there's a car in front of him that was pulling out stacks. I mean, bank rolls of cash withdrawals. How much do you think it was?
It was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Man, if my bank account could ever say that anytime soon and just be able to drive off into the wind and be like, hey, I got it like that, that would be great. So, again, Jeff is the founder of Althaus Law, an estate planning and probate firm to allow families to ensure that their hard-earned assets are protected and end up where they intended. Anything from wills, trusts, power of attorneys, health care directives, guardianship, and plenty more, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you have a pretty good background in law, from my understanding, working with the state. And but before we get into that, we really want to know who you are and what you're about. I'm super excited to have you on the show. You're a great guy. We've had many times together and connecting. We do a lot of networking on a regular basis, and it was just a matter of time to finally get you to show up again on the live. So we definitely appreciate it. Say it again?
Happy to be here.
Beautiful. So you're from Iowa.
Did you just say Ohio?
I almost said it.
Iowa, Idaho, Ohio.
You get all the time?
Yeah. No, from Iowa. Yeah, smack dab in the middle. I grew up in Ames, Iowa.
Ames, Iowa.
Yeah.
Now, how far is that from Iowa City?
It's about 2 hours. So I always have to clarify. I grew up in Ames, and that's Cyclone country.
Cyclone country? Okay.
Iowa State Cyclones. I actually went to the University of Iowa in Iowa City, the good school. So I'm a Hawkeye through and through.
I've been to that campus, and is there a Hilton or Hyatt downtown?
Yeah. There's a Sheridan downtown.
It might be a Sheridan. Yeah. But anyways, it's like it's like in the Central Hotel on campus, and we're walking through it, and then this is night drinking and hanging out and whatever not, and then having all the food vendors on the street.
Oh, yeah.
At 1:30, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, whoever knows what time it was, and that was probably one of the best experiences I ever had doing my college visits.
Marco's grilled cheese was probably our favorite.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Good stuff. So, how was it like growing up in Iowa?
I always tell people Iowa's a great place to grow up and a terrible place to visit.
Okay.
Not a whole lot to do in Iowa. A lot of cornfields.
Yeah.
It was actually my first job growing up was in a cornfield.
Really?
Yeah. Detasseling, if you've ever heard of it.
I have not.
Worst job on the planet.
Why?
Hands down. You wake up at about 4 in the morning to get to a cornfield.
Yeah.
Which usually each row is about a mile long, and you just walk up and down these rows, and you pull. A lot of people don't know this, but there's male and female corn.
Okay.
You have to pull the tassels off the very top of all of the females.
Okay. And how do you know the difference? Are there only tassels on the female, or
no? So there's a male row, and then there's 4 female rows, depending on the type of field you're in.
Okay.
But for detasseling, that's what they all look like. And the male row is like a foot taller, so if you're picking the male row, you're not doing well. But you walk up and down this cornfield, and if you've never run through a cornfield before, the blades are sharp.
Yeah.
If you've ever cut yourself on grass, this is like giant blades of really sharp grass. So you get cuts in your eyes and all over your face and your hands, and you're pulling these tassels that slice your hands.
You're not wearing gloves?
So you wear gloves. In the morning, it's freezing cold and soaking wet.
Yeah.
And so you're wearing like a rain suit or a trash bag a lot of times. And then in the afternoon, it gets to be like 110 degrees.
Jeez.
And you're sweating profusely, so you lose the gloves and all the stuff you had on. And
wow.
Yeah, you get cut up.
And was that a summer job for you?
Every summer.
And you have to do that in the mornings as well, like while in school, or just strictly summer?
It was usually just strictly summer.
Okay. Well, it seems like you probably got a good foundation of hard work out of that.
I'd like to. We tried to have a little bit of fun too.
So was that your first job, or that was just a job growing up?
That was my first job.
That was your first job?
Probably illegally working too young. But my brother had a detasseling business, so
Okay.
I started making some money when I was like 12.
How many siblings do you have?
3 brothers, so there's 4 of us total.
Okay.
I feel bad for my mom.
Right. Now, you're telling me once before when we had went out that that you're into video games,
I love video games.
which I did not know. But then also you hold a state championship title record
I do.
for free throws.
It is. It was free throws and hot shots. I should put that in there too. So hot shots is when you shoot from 5 different spots on the floor, and then layups and a couple free throws, I think. And you have, I can't even remember, like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what we see in the 3-point contest, or are they all scattered all throughout the floor itself?
It's real similar to the
Okay.
3-point contest.
Okay.
They're not all 3-pointers though.
So next time I decide to have a pickup game, I need to get you on my team.
Yeah, definitely.
Because my basketball skills aren't that great, but I definitely love the game. So free throws has a pretty great concept of learning, discipline and knowing that you need to make those crucial shots in order to win a game. And I'm sure that can probably transpire over into to business, doing all the small things, having practicality behind that. And making sure that you have the finesse to not be Shaquille O'Neal and bank those shots when necessary. So
Exactly.
what was your first job? What was your first? What was your dream job growing up? We already know your first job, but what was your dream job growing up?
I think it's probably twofold. Always wanted to be a doctor.
Really?
Yeah, just loved helping people.
Yeah.
And my parents are in the medical field, so both my parents are nurses. And they met in Vietnam, actually.
Wow.
But yeah, so I don't know, I've actually seen my dad save people's lives just randomly, and someone collapses, he knows what to do.
Wow.
That was just that was really cool to me.
Yeah.
So always wanted to help people. I think doctor was number 1 growing up, but kind of took the black sheep route and went law instead. But the other job would have been an author. I always wanted to write. I loved writing.
Yeah, you did mention that you have a passion for writing and copy, which I do not have any of that. Like, I can tell you, I can doodle, I can have short frame of mind and notes and everything like that. But to sit there and put a paper together or a book together, I commend you for that. You've also written a book, or you're in the midst of publishing a book. Is that correct?
Yeah. So.
We'll give you a quick plug on that so that way we can get those pre-sales up.
That'll be coming out in April. No, I wrote an estate planning and pretty much an estate planning 101. I don't have a title for it yet, so if you've got one for me, let me know.
I think we said estate planning for a 5-year-old or something like that, or
that's actually one of the chapters. Estate planning explained to a 6-year-old.
Explain to a 6-year-old. Okay.
So I break down estate planning in 60 to 70 pages, depending on how long it's actually going to turn out when I get it published.
Yeah.
But it's done. It's just going through the publishing process right now.
Okay. Well, hopefully I can get some good takeaways on how to manage that, because I want to publish my own books in the future. And also, when I was growing up, my first job I wanted to be, and I mentioned this before, was a truck driver. Like, there's something fascinating about someone sitting on the back of a smelly truck in the summertime and throwing everything in the back. And I don't know why, but then I kind of came to my senses and said, you know what? Then I wanted to be an attorney. Then I wanted to be a doctor, and I realized how much schooling it was going to take. And some transition in high school, I then decided to say I'm going to get into business, and I think that's been a pretty good path for me to continue on. So, what brought you out to Colorado?
The mountains, 100%.
You do a lot of skiing or snowboarding?
I grew up skiing, switched to snowboarding when I lived in Minnesota.
Yeah.
This is just ice in Minnesota. And
Yeah.
It was, 2 seconds down the hill and then 5 minutes on the hill. This isn't any fun. So yeah, I just taught myself how to snowboard, do something new and different.
Yeah.
And never really went back. Came out here and I tried to ski one time a couple years ago, and I do not remember how to do it at all.
You just lost
Everything.
Wow.
It was pizza the whole way.
Yeah, yeah. And how often you get a chance? I think you have the Copper Mountain Pass, right?
Yeah, the Rocky Mountain Super Pass.
Oh, Rocky Mountain.
Winter Park.
Okay. And how many times have you been out this season?
A lot, actually. It's died down in February and March. Just snow hasn't been that great.
No, it hasn't. I mean, it's like 65, 70 degrees right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got out more than 10 times, which was good.
Okay. I got a buddy of mine who's almost 30 times.
Wow.
He's trying to like embark on 40 before the end of the season.
That'd be good.
Yeah, so, but he's going to Chicago with me this coming up weekend for St. Patrick's Day, so
nice.
He's gonna lose 2 days right there. Which he's excited for St. Patrick's Day, but he's also a little disappointed that he might not hit that target goal that he was trying to get after. So, let's talk about like your journey working with the state, because I think from what you've told me already is a major factor in why you decided to get into practice and get into the practice for yourself and do what you're doing. And I commend you for really having like a sense of purpose behind your estate and estate planning and probate firm, and in terms of helping families. I mean, truly helping families because of what you've seen in the past. How long ago did you start working with the state?
Let's see. Estate planning, I've always been doing at least a little bit of since 2011 when I became an attorney.
Okay.
But I guess what really pushed me into it was big law, which is just what people call working in a big law firm.
Sure.
Is pretty similar to what a lot of people would compare big corporations to, I guess. So associates, entry-level people are kind of dumped on with all the stuff that nobody else wants. And so when I first started, I worked for a decent-sized firm in Minneapolis and did all kinds of areas of law. I had been a public defender throughout law school, so they wanted me to do a bunch of criminal stuff, which was fine. I enjoyed that at the time. But I also did estate planning, probate, real estate, business. They dabbled in some personal injury. And I felt like I was, a jack of all trades, master of none. And every time a new issue came up, I was researching it for hours because I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, your efficiency on your cases weren't as strong as they could be.
Exactly.
Right.
So I actually kept in touch with one of my professors from law school who worked at one of the biggest firms that's actually an international firm. But he used to brag all the time that he was the only happy lawyer in his entire firm across the world. And that's because he did estate planning.
Really?
So he always had a big smile on his face, and all the other lawyers were not as happy. If you do family law, you're divorcing people every day and everyone's mad.
Yeah. It's not a win-win situation in either of those situations, most likely.
Right. It's always the loser on both sides.
Yeah.
So estate planning, I mean, and the way he explained it, and I completely agree with this, is you have a family come in and they're just looking to protect their stuff and their families, and then when they leave, they're actually happy with what you've done because you helped them achieve those goals. So you've protected their family, their assets, all that stuff, and at the end of the day, like I said, everyone's happy. And he did walk around with a huge grin on his face all the time. So when I finally left the bigger law firm and came out here, just decided, that's what I want to do. I've always wanted to help people, and while I do go to court, it's usually for probate, and that's kind of its own world. Mm-hmm. It's not like on the TV shows or Judge Judy. Sometimes it can be. But usually there's not even another side in like a guardianship and conservatorship, which we do not have to get into the details of.
Okay.
But I'm in court, and it's usually the judge, and we're all trying to help the person we're there for. So there's not as much fighting going on. Sometimes you have to resolve conflicts between brothers and sisters if mom or dad passes away, but everyone's usually on the same page and you're striving to that same goal. So
a couple weeks ago, you did a presentation at one of our networking groups, and you brought out the game Jenga.
Yes, I did.
How cool was that? I mean, I was like, okay, like I'm starting to get it. How did you come up with that concept to incorporate Jenga into getting individuals to understand the importance of using you when it comes to protecting their assets?
So I actually have to give a shout out to Joey Abdullah for this one.
Okay.
Because
Joey Abdullah, that's twice you've been mentioned on my shows, brother. What's up, Joey?
Thanks, Joey. So I'd always explained it to people when they come into my office. Building an estate, think of it as a Jenga board. All the blocks are together, and when you have an attorney draft your plan for you, and you get all the right documents, the will, the powers of attorney, living will, all the other documents that are out there, it's a full Jenga board that has been cemented together, and there's iron supports around. It's not going anywhere. But then, like you saw in my presentation, you take that solid estate plan and you start taking documents out of it. So each document, it was 3 pieces, represented 1 document. Mm-hmm. So I'd have somebody come up and take the will out, and 3 pieces that get wobblier, and then as more documents get taken out, the whole thing gets wobblier, and eventually it all fell down and collapsed. Yeah. So I'd always kind of explained it that way, but I'd never, for whatever reason, never clicked in my brain to do that as a presentation. Joey's like, you should definitely do that. Great.
Well, Joey gets credit on that. We definitely appreciate it. Hey, guys, if you're watching this, please go ahead and like, share, and comment. Again, this is a platform to help promote entrepreneurs, in this case, Jeff. And we're also going to be getting some insight on his business and his journey. And then we're going to end this video with a little bit of advice and inspiration from Jeff, from his experiences overall, especially if you're in a position of complacency, or you're scared to pull the trigger to go ahead and start your own business, or if you're just kind of confused on what the next steps are going to be. So congratulations to you for having just surpassed your 1-year anniversary back in November.
Yeah.
That's been probably quite the journey for you, right?
It has. It was a crazy first year.
Yeah, why?
So
what comes to mind? Like holy shit.
That exactly. So part of my advice that we'll get to in the end is just kind of take the leap, and I really did. I just left a job that was secure, and I knew that, or felt like I could do more in my own firm, help more people. When you work for someone else, there's always this piece of not so much being told what to do, but you have to take certain clients no matter what. And with my own firm, I get to help the people that need it. I get to help the people that I feel like I can help the most, and I don't have someone over my shoulder, demanding that I do things because it might increase the profit margin. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, instead of focusing on dollars, I can actually focus on the people.
Good for you. Good for you.
That's been huge, but it really was a leap. I just left my job and opened up my doors. It was just transition from security to I have no idea when my paycheck is coming.
Was this happen like your thought process, planning with 30 days, 60 days, 6 months? What was your exit strategy before you decide to to take the leap and get the keys to your office?
It was probably a couple months in the making.
Okay.
I would recommend more than that if you can. But yeah, it was a pretty quick turnaround. It felt like lightning, and that last year has gone by insanely fast. But I don't regret a second of it.
How often were you scared?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
What were you scared of?
It's changed. In the beginning, it was where's that paycheck coming from?
Yeah.
Am I gonna have one? And then it's fortunately evolved into not so much worried about that, but am I helping my clients the best? What education can I get to better serve my clientele, and how can I just keep improving?
That's awesome. And then right now you're trying to transition and going down the path of growth mode, and bring on employees or assistants and getting a team built around you to be able to maximize your firm. Is that another scary plateau that you're taking on and like a field of unknown?
Yeah, so that's a good scary. So I'm thinking of expanding. Right now I rent my office. Thinking of buying my own building. So that's terrifying, coming up with capital for that, and then you have an added expense of the loan payment every month.
Right.
And then just all the worries that go with owning a building. I'd probably have enough space to rent out to some other people too, so get some more.
You can be a landlord now.
Yeah.
Whole nother business.
Can't wait. And then also thinking about hiring at the same time, so trying to figure out how all those expenses work, and then HR is a whole new world.
Yeah.
Managing employees, and so just when you think you get over one hurdle, there's 30 more, but they're exciting to go over and figure out how to get over them successfully.
And you said it's a good scary, like it's something you're looking forward to.
Yeah.
It's the it's the unknown, uncharted territories for you, but it's super exciting to hear that. I wasn't aware that you were looking to go that deep into the next steps in a couple years down the road.
Yeah, that was more of a 5 to 10 year plan, and it's all year 1 and 2 now.
Good.
It's been fun. It's been good, but definitely scary.
If you can go back to November 2016, that was like the year I moved. That was like the month I moved here in October 2016. So as long as that
been you that influenced.
I guess so. I'm like, I'm coming to Denver. Jeff's like, I'm opening up a business.
It's perfect.
If you can go back to that month, November 2016, what would you do differently? I know you don't have any regret. I know you took the leap, but would it have been more planning? Would it have been more networking? Would it have been started sooner?
That's a good question. May have started it sooner. I would definitely have done more networking. I mean, I don't think anyone networks as much as you do, but I would have tried.
The numbers show that you definitely network more than I do.
I do try to network a lot. The people that you get behind you, which is my other piece of advice that we'll get to, I can't stress how important the people you put around you really are. I would have probably tried to develop that more in advance from actually the launch point day one. More time planning it out, more than 30 to 60 days, and then more. I had a lot of people in my corner, but just kind of building that network because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
Knowing a little bit more of that first.
And in hindsight, you most likely made the right move, doing having the time that you did have, and perhaps being a little bit under the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's like because sometimes you can overplan, and then you become paralyzed in taking any action. And then you miss opportunities where it's like you jumped right into it, and it was sink or swim, and you want to run after it. So
it's a great way to describe it. I was swimming.
So what should Colorado look forward to in working with you? I can guys, if you're watching this or as you are watching this, Jeff is probably one of the honest gentlemen I've ever come across, very transparent, and a good soul individual that you definitely want to get a chance to know, whether it's from working with him personally or networking with him from a business perspective. And that's something I picked up on, right out the gates with you, is that, at the bottom of your heart, you want to do good for others. And that's really a good core reason of why you got into business on this side of your firm and your actions, but I'm sure also stems from your parents as well. It's like they having that medical background and making sacrifices for themselves personally. But what can Colorado expect from you? You are the Colorado estate planning and probate attorney. I mean, that's how you branded yourself. I wish I had your logo back on this wall right here, like we typically have on the TVs. But I mean, you really branded yourself as the go-to law firm to work with when it comes to this particular subject matter. Yeah,
I always want to tell people that anytime you come to me, you always have a shoulder to lean on, someone to turn to. For the estate planning process, for instance, I know people are really concerned when it comes to calling an attorney. I mean, I'm one of the last people in our network of people that people call because, well, no one wants to talk about death. That can be tough.
Yeah.
But also, people are terrified of attorneys. They don't want to be charged for every minute they're on the phone, or they're terrified of how pricing even works. So that's why when I'm doing the estate planning process, I mean, everyone knows what they're paying up front. It's always a flat fee, and I don't charge when people call me. I don't charge when people want to come in for a consult and sit down, just because I want people to know and have all their questions answered before they go through with the plan, because then they know what to expect and they can actually put their goals out there and see if those goals can be met before they pull the trigger and make a decision.
You like Girl Scout cookies?
I love Girl Scout cookies.
What kind?
The Thin Mints are probably my favorite. The peanut butter, I can't remember. I never remember the names of the peanut butter ones, but they're awesome.
All right, well, if you go and give him a call and you show up to his office and he's not charging you, bring some Girl Scout cookies, some Thin Mints, all right? because he deserves them. That time is worth a lot of value and money at the end of the day. But you're a good guy for not having to, look down the direction of gouging, right? I don't want to call it gouging because I think what's fair is fair, but you're giving that extra added value and comfort to your clients at the end of the day. I think it's very important, right? Let's really break this down from a business owner's perspective. Why is it important for an individual to truly have the proper documentation and foundation when it comes to their assets?
So, from the business perspective or everybody's?
From everybody's perspective.
I'll tell you both.
Yeah.
So having a plan is so important for so many reasons, and unfortunately, a lot of those reasons are things people have no idea about because like I said, no one wants to talk about it. So there's not a lot of conversation about death and dying and planning for the future. And then the other aspect that comes up a lot, the most common reason I'm in court, almost no one knows about, and it's when people become incapacitated. So if that's Alzheimer's, dementia, just in a car accident, in a coma or something like that, if you don't have the proper documents in place, powers of attorney in this instance, a court comes in and decides who's taking care of you, who's talking to your doctors, who's accessing your bank accounts, and has full control over your life. And a judge who's never met you comes in and appoints someone who has no idea how you want to be treated to make all those decisions for you. And that hearing can be insanely expensive. I mean, $5,000 to $10,000 just to show up.
Just court costs.
Just court costs, wow. Legal fees, and then you have to pay that professional an hourly rate going forward. Whereas if you get a foundation and a plan in place in advance, it stops all of that from happening. So you're not only protecting yourself, because you can get better when you're incapacitated. If you're in a coma or just a bad car accident, I mean, you're coming back, hopefully. And then you still have all your stuff there, and it was managed how you wanted it to be managed. And that helps preserve that legacy that you want to leave to your children later on, which is accomplished with a will. Because if you don't say where you want your stuff to go, the state comes in again and decides for you. And it's rare, but in certain circumstances, it can actually just go to the state, which is 100% tax, and I don't know anyone that likes taxes that much.
No, not many people like taxes. Right? And in that situation, there's the only two things you're guaranteed: death and taxes. And hopefully, you're not guaranteed death in this situation. Working with Jeff, and working like from the state perspective, I mean, you've seen so many families just torn apart.
Yeah.
And I've heard you talk about this, and I can feel from the bottom of your heart is that it really drives you to ensure that you don't find yourself in a position of coming across those kind of cases again.
Yeah, so I guess kind of talking about that ties into business owners too, because you see a lot of fights when it comes to individuals that have their own business and a family too, because what I see a lot of is, it's the entrepreneur, the sole proprietor that started his or her business, and then, maybe they've hired family, but a lot of times they haven't. It's just them. But the money coming in is supporting that family, and then something happens to that person unexpectedly, or they knew it was coming, but there's no plan in place. That business can cause a lot of anxiety and stress in people's lives because a lot of times people don't know how to run it. They don't know what you were doing to make it work. Like, you're the magic that makes your business go, and when you're gone, where's that magic go? So if there's not a plan in place for who's running it now, who has access to the money to pay the bills, is it just supposed to get sold, who's buying it, those decisions become insanely stressful, especially if someone passes away. Because the family's grieving, they don't also want to be making insanely stressful business decisions at the same time.
And in most cases, if a family is involved in the business, they're not involved in the business of the individual that unfortunately is now removed, right? Mm-hmm. So they might be assisting, but they're not fully integrated into it. And if they got to make business decisions after that, then that becomes even more complex if they weren't even involved into the business to begin with, and they're kind of just trying to figure out how do we get rid of this thing and move on, right?
Yeah.
And I know a couple personal situations where I got friends that have lost, their father, the breadwinner, making it happen, and then it became a very awkward situation for 2 or 3 years lingering about how did they go through the process of, there's partners involved and other stakeholders and everything like that, and So in that particular situation, they definitely didn't have their bases covered when it came to understanding how to properly get that aligned. So
yeah, it can be insanely important. Like I said, the biggest fights I see are usually when there's a business and mom or dad was the business owner, ran it, and then now you get a lot of, once that person, like you said, removed, however that is, you get a lot of he said, she said, and it's so easy to just put everything in writing, and everyone knows exactly what's supposed to happen. You just follow it to the T, and it's amazing how many fights that stops.
So let's get onto the networking aspect. You're mentioning that if you can go back a year and a half ago and do it over again, you would do more networking. Mm-hmm. I look at you and you're like a low key networker. Like I'm out there, I'm like, hey guys, I'm networking. Jeff's like, I'm low key networking. But either way, we're both making connections in the right light, and more importantly, finding the right relationships to really drive forward. What relationships are most important to you? Not that one is great or good or bad, but what are your key pillars, referral partners that you're currently working with right now, or that you want to strengthen in the future, and ones who you might not have any connections with, but you're trying to make those come to happen?
Yeah, that goes right back to what I said, what I would have done different in the beginning. Is building that core group that you're talking about, and I got to plug BNI for this one too, because a lot of them are in our BNI networking group that we're a part of.
Summit partners.
So hope you guys are commenting while you're watching, because I know you are. But Brad, for instance, Brad Lindenberg, great accountant. Having an accountant in my fields is so incredibly important, because not only do I tie a family's plan together, but then make sure they've got the right team behind them to keep that plan working moving forward. Because if they just forget about it and stuff it in a filing cabinet somewhere, it's not going to work as well as it could.
Sure.
And I want them to get the full potential out of it. So accountants for me are phenomenal. Financial planners, Daniel Graff is my main go-to guy for that, but I can't even stress how important having a solid financial plan is, and that obviously ties in with an accountant and ties in with your estate plan really well. And then even having a solid realtor, because a lot of my clients have multiple properties. They need a property manager for their rentals, and then they're buying and selling property all the time. And that group that's phenomenal.
Who do you need to add to that group? Like, if you're missing one or two sockets in that core.
So it never hurts to have a group of accountants and a group of financial advisors, just because sometimes people are in different locations, or they may not click with that one person. I mean, you gotta like the people you're working with.
All the time.
I know my core is great and everyone will love them, but if for whatever reason you can't work with one individual or another, it's always nice to have a few more that I can fall back on. So financial planners and accountants. But in my industry, it gets a little morbid, but having connections with funeral home directors and people that place elderly individuals in any kind of nursing home facilities, assisted living, things along those lines, and professionals that deal with Medicaid are huge in my industry. Just being able to refer clients somewhere to get their questions answered, because when it's usually the children coming in for their parents, and the children are the ones with all the questions.
Right.
Having professionals that can come in and guide them through that, without having to call a lawyer every time you want to know what the best Medicaid decision is for mom. There are professionals out there that can guide you through that, help you place mom and dad, and those people are phenomenal in my line of work.
All right, so we definitely got 3 or 4 people to add to your core, and then we're going to layer up your core even further from the amazing people that you have right now that you're working with, especially as you're looking to expand and scale your business. That means you're going to need more resources throughout your networking, power at the end of the day. Again, Ira Coleman here, founder of Fluent Hustle. Today we have Jeff Althaus of Althaus Law speaking with us about estate planning and probate, and how crucial it is for every individual, especially business owners and entrepreneurs, to make sure that they have a solid plan in place so they can protect their assets and ensure that those assets are going where they intend to be. A year and a half in business, he's learned a lot, Probably made a lot of mistakes along the way, which you need to be failing forward every single day. If you're not failing forward, you're not finding the ultimate success that you can have. What's the best advice you can provide to our audience, entrepreneurs, individuals that that might be scared to go ahead and take that leap, as you mentioned, which you're probably going to jump into right now about that. But how do we encourage the entrepreneurship community here in Colorado to ensure that they can raise their to the greatest level of achievement?
Well, I have two pieces of advice that I've kind of touched on throughout this interview. But number one is take the leap. If you don't have that business yet, but you've been thinking about it constantly. I can't remember who said it, but I should know this. It's one of my favorite quotes, but if you think about something every single day of your life, you have to go do that thing.
Okay.
And I thought about opening my own law firm every single day for years. So just taking the leap and doing it, and that's not necessarily saying just jump off the bridge right now and go start whatever you're doing. I mean, like I said, I wish I'd planned a little bit more, but also along what you said, you can get stuck in that planning phase and become stagnant, and then you don't just take the leap. So at some point, I mean, if you're planning, say I'm going to plan for 4 months, I'm going to plan for 6 months, and here's the day I'm opening, and stick to it. But stick to it. I mean, take the leap. That was an interesting day for me, but sometimes you just got to do it. Have faith in yourself. Behind that first point of just taking the leap is building that core group of people. I mean, we were just talking about the people that are so important to me now, and I didn't have a lot of them until 6 months to a year after I'd already started the business. And having that group when I started would have been phenomenal.
Oh, man.
I mean, I can't even tell you how different the business would look. But I've got those people now, so it's headed in the right direction. But they always say you got to spend money to make money, and it does help to hire a business coach, definitely have an accountant. You've got to run a business. You got to take care of your clients. Don't try to do your books. Even the financial advisor, everyone I talked about, I also use for my business and personally. And you just get the right people around you, and it helps so much.
That's great. So not only networking, but then networking to bring in the right resources to help supplement your business resources itself, I guess you would say, and being that you know what you do best, mm-hmm. and you want to keep on doing what you do best, and you might have to spend a little bit more money up front, but in the long run, it's going to save a lot of time, headaches, stress.
A lot of stress.
And this way you can just keep on pushing ahead and enjoying what you're doing the most, and that's what your craft is and your specialty is to do law, protect families, and have fun in the process.
Exactly. And a lot of people think they can't delegate unless they have employees. And my favorite thing to do is to hire people to push off stuff I don't want to do anymore. It took me a while to realize that and to finally let go of some things. Bookkeeping is probably the next thing that I don't do my own taxes. Brad, thank you. And thank you, Christy, as well, for doing my 1099s. I think bookkeeping is probably the next thing that's going to slide off. It is hard to let things go and to delegate. It's harder than I thought it would be. It's not one of the things I thought I would run into that I'm struggling with is giving things away. Yeah. But you create this business and you hold on to it, and it's your baby. Yeah. And as it grows, letting things go, you're like, oh man, they're not going to do it right. You try to sit there and tell them, and then they do it 10 times better. So holding on to those things.
Delegate and have trust. Dude, what's with the socks, man? Your sock game is looking good today.
Get them up here.
What are they? Is a cat, dog? I don't know what that is.
It's a dog with high heels on. I like socks.
So we got Jeff with a strong sock game. My socks aren't that great. They're pretty basic. So
we can go shopping sometime.
Yeah, we'll work on that. What we should do is get together and do a networking sock day.
Yes.
And shoot some ball.
I'm in.
Pop a shot.
Yes.
With a couple beers.
Yeah, perfect. Great day.
It's an end. Ira Coleman here, founder of Fluent Hustle, just having a wonderful Facebook Live with Jeff Althaus of Althaus Law. How can people get in touch with you, man?
You can always go to the website, www.althauslaw.com. You can always call me, 720-340-2783. If I don't answer, I'm busy, but I will call you back as soon as I possibly can.
Go to the website, hit the contact form. There's some amazing resources. You got a blog up there that you keep pretty active. And if you guys have any questions, get in touch with Jeff. He's been a phenomenal resource to the Colorado community, especially here throughout the Denver metro area. But reach out to him and make sure you bring those Girl Scout cookies Thin Mint if you're expecting anything for free from him. All right. So have a wonderful day, guys. Happy Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment in this post. If you feel like there's value that's been brought to you, we want to make sure that we can help promote Jeff and Althaus Law as much as possible. This is what it's really about. We hope that his advice that he provided to you can go somewhere within your career, go somewhere within your journey as an entrepreneur, and help grow your business to the next level. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you.